Thank you for your purchase. This is a new version of our Kinetic sculpture series designed to allow both blades to rotate smoothly with an electric motor. We have invested significant time refining the design and simplifying the assembly process. This animation will help you clearly visualize each step of the assembly. Make sure to also read the PDF instructions included with the files. These are all the parts you will need to create the Kinetic sculpture. All components are named according to their respective folders. You can either cut each component separately or nest them together on your cutting area. All components are 4 millimeters thick, except for the wall mounts and the sculpture patterns, which are 10 millimeters thick. You can freely adjust the scale of the models and the material thicknesses according to your requirements. Now with the box assembly. Depending on your motor dimensions, you have two box sizes available, small and large. In this example, we are using the large model. You may also customize the box dimensions to match the motor you have selected. Use adhesive to securely bond all box panels together, following the sequence demonstrated in the animation. Attach the wall mount bracket to the back of the box using glue, ensuring that all four holes are properly aligned. Once the box assembly is dried, you can position the motor inside the housing and fasten it using screws. Proceed by connecting the power supply cables to the motor at the rear of the box. If desired, you may integrate an on-off switch for easier operation. However, this guide will not cover wiring in detail. There are many beginner-friendly tutorials available on YouTube. Now place the axle and secure it with glue in the back and verify that it remains stable without any unwanted movement or rotation. You can let again the final assembly dry. Next, proceed with the motion transfer components. Continue by assembling the gears exactly as demonstrated in the animation, creating 4 gear assemblies in total. Apply a thin, even layer of adhesive to the contact surfaces and ensure every part is firmly secured and aligned properly following the holes. Install the ball bearings as shown. For improved load distribution and smoother rotation, you may add 3 extra bearings to the 5 recommended. 1 extra on the lower axle assembly, 1 extra on the front pattern piece, and 1 extra on the rear pattern piece. After the adhesive cures, mount the gear sets onto the pattern pieces, attaching the gear set to the rear pattern piece and the gear with the round pieces to the front pattern piece using glue. Make sure to align the parts perfectly so the axle can fit properly on both assemblies. To mount the box sculpture on the wall, 4 screws are recommended for optimal stability. Use the second wall mount component as a drilling guide and mark the desired height accordingly. If preferred, 2 parallel holes are still sufficient to support the sculpture's weight. You may alternatively install the sculpture on a wooden base if you want it to be movable. A dedicated base model is included in the Extras folder, which you can customize it with your own decorative patterns. Next, attach the second wall mount with the axle already in place and secure it with adhesive. The distance between the upper and lower wall mounts must be at least 35 centimeters measured from center to center to properly accommodate the large rotating pattern pieces. Proceed by installing the first gear assembly on the motor, ensuring they do not touch the motor housing and leaving a small clearance of a few millimeters. At this moment, you can add the back string measuring 65 centimeters and let it loose. You can now place the rear pattern piece onto the axle. Make sure that the gears on the motor do not create friction touching the pattern pieces. Then attach the front pattern piece in the same manner, with the second string measuring about 85 centimeters, leaving a spacing from the rear pattern piece of 8 to 12 millimeters. Continue with the lower axle and place the large gear assembly and ensure that the upper and lower gears remain parallel, so the cords will operate smoothly without interfering with the moving pattern elements. Finally, attach the actuating cords. Any material, rubber bands, cotton cord, nylon string, or similar, will work as long as the tension is sufficient to transfer motion, but not overly tight, allowing the blades to move freely. Congratulations on completing your Kinetic sculpture. We would be delighted to see your final result. And if you have any questions or require further assistance, feel free to reach out. Best regards, Vector Beam Designers.